This is Roger Struckoff with Syscon TV. We are at day 3 at Cloud Expo East in New York in the year 2015. And right now we're sitting with Dan Lynn with AgilData, formerly Code Futures. Dan, thank you for joining us. Tell a little bit about you being at the company and the name change and what you do.
Thanks for having me, Roger. So I joined Code Futures last year in December after being a customer of Code Futures for 2 years at my previous company, Full Contact. I was a customer of Code Futures' successful database sharding product, DB Shards, which is in use on several very large websites that I can't name.
Okay.
One of the founders of Code Futures convinced me to take over as the CEO seat for the company to lead the change from focusing on just database sharding to highly parallel streaming technology for relational databases or for non-relational databases. And that led to a name change for the company. So we were called Code Futures, and now we're called AgilData, and so is our product.
Now, the idea here is that you're seeing a change. I remember seeing presentations from Code Futures in the past, and it was clear that you're like pushing out here on the edge, and you're hearing from customers and feedback. Talk a little bit about, you were a customer before, and maybe what you were advising was some of the things that are being implemented now, is my guess. I mean, how does that work, and how much is your name change and the new agility that you have do with what customers are telling you to do?
That's a great question. I can't claim credit for being a sole influence on the directionality change. Although when I saw the first inclination of this appear in DB Shards, AgilData really is the successor, the next generation of DB Shards, and just adds a whole bunch more functionality to improve the developer experience. We've almost come up with a moniker for it to call it DevX. We're going to try to push that like crazy. I think it's great. So while I benefited from that change at Full Contact, there were a ton of other customers that are driving that. People want data to be fast and reactive, but they don't want to sacrifice the skills they already have, which namely is SQL. So we focus on being scalable and keeping it simple for the developer and just letting them use SQL for stream processing.
And what's driving the speed? It seems like just by distributing things over the cloud, it's forming this whole new generation or whole new requirement for speed. It's not so much that companies are demanding it, but they're experiencing it.
Right. As you know, this is a traditional kind of like McKinsey big data argument. The volume and variety and velocity have gone way up, and there's the other V that I won't mention. But as they've gone up, the latency requirements for some types of analytics have gone up because people want to build data-driven features into their application. So it's not just that your analysts need to produce answers for internal reporting or to drive the direction of the business. That's a huge slice of the big data market. But there's another slice, which is the data-driven features that are exposed to end users that are highly accessed on a frequent basis by users. You can't do that kind of analytics over and over again per query. So you have to do kind of data warehousing on the fly, and you want to keep it up to date. That's a very challenging problem, and you don't want to do that with batch processing. You want to use a streaming processing technology that'll get you there.
Organizationally, how do you interface with your customers? At what level within there? And then when you were a customer, how did you interface and interact with the company?
Sure. So previously, I was the CTO of Full Contact, and it was kind of at that level that we had that discussion. We can talk to anybody within that company, starting with developers to get feedback on whether or not that fits technically, but all the way through product managers to kind of VPs of engineering, chief technology officers, to see if this can be a value add for what the existing technology stack is. So we usually interface at that level. The product is actually an on-site, on-premise, deployed streaming database clustering product that interfaces cleanly. So it's like any other technology purchase. We're not a hosted solution. We help enable your technology architecture to add new features to your roadmap.
And what sort of arc are you, without revealing stuff you can't reveal, what sort of arc are you on as far as developing services over the next 6 months to a year?
Sure, that's a great question. There are a few things I can't reveal at this time that I would like to, but without revealing too much, we're expanding the executive team. We're adding additional development hires. It's an 8-year-old company, but we're repositioning it as an aggressive startup that's challenging the kind of status quo of how you do streaming data for high-speed data. So from our perspective, we've come to Syscon, we've come to Cloud Expo to test the new messaging. We've gotten tremendous feedback here. It's very fantastic. I can't wait to see what happens to our sales.
What sort of feedback? All good, or with a lot of this is new to people. So what sort of great feedback have you gotten?
Sure, and I'll be honest, I come from kind of the Eric Ries, Lean Startup, Steve Blank school, so it's here to actually get that feedback and internalize that into our product and our sales platform. The biggest single piece of feedback I've gotten right now is that we're a lower level platform play that helps you build new features, and it's hard for us to specifically give you use cases that you can resonate with. It's like, oh, I see how it fits. We're going to be spending a lot of time to get those use cases dialed, so it's very easy to see how you could use it.
Okay, great. And they find you, where do they find you these days online?
Well, right now you can go to agildata.com, agildata.com. You can also find me on Twitter at Dan K. Lynn, and we'll be launching an additional Twitter for our company soon.
Very good. We've been sitting here with Dan Lynn for a few minutes with AgilData. This is formerly Code Futures, and our audience knows that name very well. And now you need to learn AgilData, agildata.com. Dan, thank you much for joining us and sitting with us for a few minutes. Thank you for watching. For Syscon TV, this is Roger Struckoff.